Hello, everybody. Welcome to Video Game Logs with your host, Whisper100, and with me here is...
I'm down Phoenix.
And we're just gonna talk and ramble on about Fallout 4 and what we thought of it. So,
That's a
now,
great start. That's a great introduction.
yeah, I know. It's kind of like a Big Bang, like with the nuclear fallout. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I've beaten the game. Down Phoenix here hasn't. You've only played what, like 40 hours of it?
Yeah, I think I've got a little more than 2 days worth of playtime according to the game logs.
Yeah, I have 139 hours off the game, mainly from just not not doing the main story, but exploring the whole Commonwealth. Because yeah, like Fallout 4 was just the big game too. So were you excited about the game when it was being announced?
No, I had no hype for this game whatsoever. I was like, what the hell is Fallout 4? And where was the first three? Just kidding. I was ecstatic for this game.
Everyone
And
was.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and it was kind of funny with the whole Bethesda announcement when they announced this game at E3. Everybody was like all surprised. It's like, well, obviously they were going to do a huge announcement like this if they were going to do an E3 press conference because they've never done that before.
With Fallout?
Yeah, well, don't you remember whenever they had their E3 press conference last year?
Oh
It
yeah,
was in June.
I didn't see it, so I kind of missed out
Oh,
on
you didn't
that.
see it? Yeah, I didn't really see it myself either. I kind of missed out on it a little bit, but
Yeah,
they
which
made a huge deal about it, obviously, because it was their first ever E3 press conference. I mean, they've been at E3, but obviously in the past.
oh, but they haven't
And,
like shown anything off.
well, I mean, they've been at E3, but they've never done an actual press conference, like you know how Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, EA,
Like they have
for
some
some reason,
like they,
Ubisoft.
like they have some presentation of a game that they're working on and such, right?
Right, yeah, like an actual press conference where they feature off all the titles they're working on, and they had an actual press conference, and a lot of it featured Fallout 4, which had never been seen before. And, it's kind of crazy that they waited so long to reveal it because a lot of game companies, it seems like they're so anxious to announce something like as soon as they have like a scratch
Or an
on a piece
idea.
of paper or something like that. Some artist drew something on a piece of toilet paper, like, "Hey, we've got this new game coming out."
It's total shit. It was drawn with shit.
Yeah,
But yeah, well, anyways, yeah. So Fallout 4. I was actually got it off Green Man Gaming, thanks to Down Phoenix, for a reasonable price with the discounts going on. I wasn't actually intending to buy it. I just wanted to check out the discount feature, but I ended up getting it, and
nice.
I don't regret it. It's there's so much to do. Like, I wouldn't say this is my favorite Fallout game, but it definitely is on the list.
Right. It's really tough to say because it's still a real recent game in the grand scheme of things. It's only been out for like what, 3 months now, something like
Yeah,
that.
pretty much near the like end of the year. So the thing I wanted to do for this video game logs is do the usual, talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, the changes and all the stuff, what we thought of it. So what did you think of Fallout 4 from what you've played, Down Phoenix?
Well, that's a very good question. Fallout 4 is a very polarizing game with me.
Oh,
I mean,
really?
I absolutely love certain aspects of it, but at the same time, it seems like they've taken away some stuff that really made the original game special.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But,
I was gonna bring that up at some point, but yeah, go on.
yeah, and we'll get to that more in detail, obviously. But yeah, as far as Fallout 4, I still really enjoy it. I think it is definitely fits in line with the rest of the games in the series. I don't see any kind of dissonance between
Or it being
this
an
game versus
outcast.
the others. Like kind of like Fallout Brotherhood of Steel on PS2, for instance. That one we can kind of just slide off to
Dismiss.
the side, yeah. But this definitely belongs with the rest of them for sure.
Yeah, it's well, for one thing, it's called Fallout 4. It better be alongside with the main series, or
Exactly.
in some aspect. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't put in that on like 139 hours for nothing because I really enjoyed exploring the Fallout world every time we get introduced to it and doing all the random stuff it has in it. So So I wrote down a couple of notes on the game, and whether they be good or bad, we'll talk about that in detail. So for the changes in Fallout 4, which is basically stuff that already existed in previous games, but they did something different to it in Fallout 4. One of them I wrote is the graphics. How did you think the world of Fallout 4 looks?
It's really funny with the graphics because I remember when they first showed off the game and everybody's like, "These graphics suck," and they're all showing us screenshots showing where Fallout 3 supposedly looked better and stuff like that. I thought the graphics were really good for this game. Now I played it on the PS4. I didn't play it on the PC, so I didn't get to see all the fancy little shaders,
Bloom, grass.
things like that. Yeah, all this crazy stuff that you can do on a good gaming PC. But I mean, I think the graphics favor pretty reasonably compared to most PS4 games. I mean, I'd say in the upper 75 percentile range. But obviously, I mean, if you look at some of the stuff in Fallout 3, it did seem like certain things were more detailed, but you have to kind of consider that that game looked really bland as far as the color palettes and things like that versus Fallout 4. It seemed like the world was a lot more alive.
A lot more life to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's something I really appreciated. Now, that being said, I really was disappointed with the animations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they were improved versus previous games. But
we're going to do a lot of comparison with the previous games, obviously.
Right, but Bethesda, they really have a penchant for having like really stiff animations. Whenever like you have all these other games, like I mean, The Witcher 3, for instance. We actually were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
That game has a lot better animation than Fallout 4, without a doubt. Like it just seemed like a lot more fluid, unless you're playing the crappy console versions, obviously. But yeah,
that'll be for another message or another time for Down Phoenix. So yeah, what was stiff about the animation? Because I think I know what you're talking about, but I didn't quite notice it because I was playing it on the PC. So PC Master Race.
Right. Yeah, I guess that kind of helps. Yeah, if you do have a higher frame rate, it probably is going to look a bit smoother. That is without a doubt, of course.
Oh,
what frame rate were you playing it on, by the way? Were you getting 60 typically, or what?
I would say so. And actually, it's a good thing you brought that up. I found something out about Fallout 4 is that, like, before I got my graphics card, this game actually played pretty decently on a GT 640. Mm-hmm. That's GT, not GTX 640. That's not even really a gaming graphics card, but it ran actually quite well on my PC with an i5. Like, I was surprised. The Fallout 4 didn't take that much requirement to actually run. Of course, occasionally, if like things get hectic, it started dipping. But once I got the graphics card to be able to play it properly, it was pretty good. It looked really nice, and it ran really smoothly. Now, so I'm going to give my piece on the graphics. Like Down Phoenix said, unlike in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, because those two are the same, yeah, there's a lot more life, and it's a lot more refined. I really like the style it went for in Fallout 4, unlike in previous games, where it's just the landscape was really unrefined. It was more of, like, it felt more like that was just the idea that they just didn't, like, make it to, smooth out all the rough edges of it. And, yeah, there's definitely a lot more color in 4, So yeah, there's more life to it than the bland brown shit you see in the previous games. Although, that in itself is its own style too. So,
right, and it goes without saying, it kind of makes sense in this particular game world where it does seem like a little more live because it takes place at a further time span than the other games. It's further into the future, so obviously the world's had a chance to kind of adjust to the new climate.
Or maybe the Fallout in that world isn't as intense as the other ones, because I mean, in Fallout 3 in Megaton, you had a nuclear bomb in the center of it that didn't detonate yet. Mm-hmm. Well, depending on how you play it.
It was leaking radiation and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we both agree that Fallout 4 looks really nice compared to the previous ones, and if they make another Fallout game, I would like to see them continue using the style. It's not like great, like as great as say The Witcher, Witcher 3, or like some other higher grade game graphics, but like it has a style going for it, and you know those like say for instance like Paper Mario graphics, like can you get any better than what they've done? It's kind of like that with Fallout 4. Like I think this style looks really good for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can nitpick various little things here and there, but I mean,
Overall.
that's yeah. I mean, really, the only way you're going to get better is obviously just more stacking, more resolution, more frames,
And
all
all
that good
that stuff, but it's like that could be never ending. But if you have a style, a theme, then it's like it would age well. Graphics that would age well. Hence going
Right.
back to the Paper Mario graphics, like you could play it like years in the future, like in Fallout 4, and it would still look good.
Yeah, exactly. I see exactly what you mean. I mean, just kind of a little off topic, Paper Mario does look a lot better than a lot of its N64 contemporaries because of the style, just like you mentioned there. It's kind of tough to say if that's going to be the same case here with Fallout 4. As
Probably
far as
not.
that, but I would say probably so because Fallout 3 still looks pretty good today, even though we did have some complaints about the graphics as far as the style of it. You know, it still is a good looking game up to today's standards.
Yeah,
And I think
it's
the same
still
will
like it's still
be true about Fallout
presentable.
4, 8 years from now.
Yeah, it's still presentable. So I think that's all. That would be it for the graphics. Next one I wrote was the combat. So what did you think about the combat in Fallout 4 compared to previous games?
Well, I really liked the point that they took with Fallout New Vegas, where they added the ADS or whatever it's called. You know, like the targeting, kind of like Call of Duty, where you shoot behind the gun.
Oh,
It's called ADS, like it's assisted something system. I don't know, but it's like where you look through the gun sight
yeah, I know.
as opposed to like crosshairs or whatever.
I know. I know what you mean. It was like behind the scope or something.
Right.
Okay, but going on.
And it was that was a good thing for them to introduce in New Vegas, but it always felt a bit off in that game.
Or in other words, really stiff.
Yeah. In this game, it plays just like any shooter like that. It plays like a Call of Duty or Battlefield game does as far as the controls. And so it makes it instantly recognizable with the controls. It just makes it really easy, the combat for the shooting. Now, on the other hand, the melee combat, there hasn't been any improvements that I've noticed versus the past games. And that's been kind of disappointing, but
Being that,
Yeah.
like, in the world of Fallout, it's kind of like, well, there's not exactly too much you can do with it, considering everyone in the game mostly use guns.
yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, I guess it seemed like with Melee, it's actually kind of degenerated versus the old games. Like in the old games, like the original, ho- isometric games, the classic games. Like I did a Let's Play it, for example, and I
Yes,
called
go
it Fallout
check it
3
out.
on accident. But Melee seemed like it was a lot more viable in those old games. And that was part of the fact due to it being entirely turn-based. You had like little hexes that you can move, and
And
you
there-
can make
there
a
were-
viable melee build. Whereas it seems like it's a lot more difficult in the newer games.
Or in like the 3D action game where they took out the turn base, so it's like you actually had to have reflexes to do all that stuff. Not to say that there weren't some interesting things like the Death Claw Gauntlet or the Paralyzing Palm. Those were fun.
Yeah,
But-
definitely. And they were pretty effective in certain cases also.
But more than not, you're probably just going to use guns, and the only reason melee worked for you is because you're the player who can take all this damage, and certain like really tough enemies like Death Claws.
Yeah. And that's another thing I noticed about the combat. Like in Skyrim versus Oblivion, if you kind of like compare the two games, it seems like in Oblivion you're able to absorb damage like a sponge. Whereas Skyrim, at least in the early part of the game, you were able to die quite easily. And that's kind of like the same situation when you compare Fallout 3 to this. It seemed like you were a lot more vulnerable in Fallout 4. And so the combat did seem a bit more intense because of that. And that was kind of cool. But, I mean, really, it's a matter of just how damage is
And
compared to
how
the
you
game.
play the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the combat in Fallout 4. Like it's just like Down Phoenix says, it's much smoother. It plays like a Call of Duty game or Call of Duty mechanic or any other shooter, and it's just so much fun to kick ass because
Yeah.
in 3 in New Vegas I had to use the VAT system. Like if I ever went into combat without it, it was like there was a good chance I'd be fucked up pretty bad in it. But in 4, I felt like I had control over, the outcome. Like if things weren't going good, I could just run away or I could literally just go in guns a blazing and just shoot everyone in the head or something like that. Which going on to that note, that's because the combat is so much more fluid and better than the previous games. That wasn't used as much. I find I did still use it, but not I didn't rely on it as much as the previous games.
Not to mention there was a lot more immediacy with the VAT system than there was in the past games, because when you used it before, it completely paused the games. And you had as much time as you wanted to decide what you want to do, whereas in this game it actually kind of goes into slow motion, where you still have quite a bit of time to decide, but if you're deciding, should I go for a headshot or a leg shot, or should I kind of chain up shots, you had to actually do it in kind of a fairly fast response. If you didn't want the enemy to maul you or whatever.
Yeah, basically you go into Matrix time where you're thinking really fast, should I hit him here, 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 or here? Mm-hmm. Well, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, once you execute it, it works just like Fallout 3's does, though.
Now there is a new. Now, despite what I just said about not using VATS that much, they did add a new thing with the VATS where you can build up a critical meter, and that was pretty
actually
sweet.
Really nice. I always forgot to do that.
The critical meter gives you an incentive to play around with the VATS because the critical meter makes you do a shit ton of damage when you use it, and it's pretty awesome because then. Just doing these final epic kills on an enemy using your shotgun or whatever. They still managed to make the VATS relevant in the game.
Right. Yeah. It's they knew that they kind of took away from the usefulness of it, so they kind of added the whole critical system to kind of give you some incentive to still utilize it.
Which is good. That was actually I was pretty amazed by or impressed by that because it was because when I was oh, this combat's really easy. Oh, what? Critical meter? It's oh, that's pretty cool. Because it's also reliable, too. A reliable critical hits. Because you still have the random critical hits you can do, which I don't really notice in the game too much.
Right. Actually, speaking of the whole VAT system, did you ever get the impression that whenever you do use it, that it seemed like the targeting percentages seem to be a lot lower than the past games?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Sometimes I have to get right in their face to even get an 80%, and it's just that's just kind of weird. I don't know if it's because they just want to focus on the more fluid combat that they, at the same time, sort of discourage the VATS.
Right.
Either that or I didn't really put the points into the VATS, which we'll talk about the perk system later. But
right. I think that also has to do with the way that skills worked in this game versus in past games. I don't know if you want to kind of touch on that now, or if you want to touch on that.
Oh, so are we done with talking about combat? We liked certain aspects of it, but at the same time, it also did something to the game as a whole, as a Fallout game.
Yeah, I mean, it plays very well. I really enjoy the combat, but it does play a bit differently than the past games, and so. Maybe not everybody's going to be into that. People that maybe really enjoyed the more turn-based nature of the classic games,
or the more methodical combat in the previous games.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, and just a quick thing. I'm going to bring this up quick. Even the Down Phoenix already talked about. Yeah, melee. I almost I pretty much never used it because it just sucked.
Yeah. I mean, there were certain times that I would use it. Some melee weapons were pretty effective against certain enemies. I had, this electric serrated Chinese sword or something like that, which is actually, really good against the synths. Which I guess we'll talk about them later, but...
we'll talk about them in the story part of the game.
Yeah. There are certain weapons like that were pretty useful in various situations, especially if you were low on ammunition.
But overall,
yeah, the melee I would use it maybe about 5 to 10% of the time I was in a combat scenario.
Over the guns.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so next up I wrote is the perk system / skill system. So we're gonna talk about that. So, what did you think of the changes they did to the perk system in this game over, say, specifically 3 and New Vegas, and the original, of course?
The perk system is really interesting, the way they've done it. It seems like you had a lot of control over how you leveled your character.
Was that in the previous games or in 4?
In 4, specifically. Okay. Like, in the previous games, obviously, when you leveled up, you got a perk every 3 or 4 levels or
X
whatever.
number of levels.
Right, and you just level up your skills when you spend points on skills. This game takes a lot more simplified approach to it, just kind of like Skyrim did, in a way. Like, if you compared Skyrim to Oblivion, in Oblivion it had that classic, you spend your points on whatever, and you did these things, so these things level up a certain way, and so on. Whereas Skyrim did a completely different approach, and this game's kind of the same parallel between Fallout 3 to Fallout 4. Fallout 3 had kind of like the more traditional leveling system.
That's it's still keeping in respects to the original games where you had skills and perks at a certain part, at certain levels.
Right, but this game does a lot more. It does certain things a lot more simplified. Like you don't have the number crunching like it did in the past games. But you do still have a lot of customization on how you level your character. So that's kind of nice. The only thing I don't really particularly like about the new system is that attributes are essentially kind of useless now, because you can level those up at any time. Like you can, just
whenever
at a whim level up your attributes. And, well, not at a whim, but every time you gain a level, you can spend your points towards attributes if you want. So, like, if you want a character that's a smooth talker, but you also wanted to be a shooter, and, it didn't seem like you had to really make very many compromises.
You didn't have to think about it, because, because I found this out a little later, is that this game has no level cap, so your character can literally learn everything when he hits a certain point, which, I was talking with Down Phoenix about it. It kind of destroys any individual or any build you could do that were like it's specialized in a certain thing, making them unique. And now your character can just do everything, which that's cool, but it kind of sucks at the same time because there's no theme to it.
Yeah, I see why they did it, obviously, because you looked at Skyrim. Skyrim is kind of the same way, and another series that I like a lot, the Dark Souls series. It's technically the same way. You can infinitely level up pretty much. But yeah, at the same time, I guess it matters what kind of control you have. You have to kind of have like self-control over yourself, to not overindulge in the leveling, to really enjoy the a way you can build out unique characters. If you're a person that's very obsessive about, I want to get everything I possibly can, then you could spend
hours,
more like years playing this game.
That's true, but in a reasonable time, it'd be like, okay, maybe not just hours, but like days and weeks.
Right.
But yeah, the perk system, Fallout 4 went for a lot of new things. Like they changed a lot of stuff, like say with the combat too. And the perk system just, I liked it, like, giving a new spin on it, but I also, like Down Phoenix said, I also didn't like it that much, because, for one, it made it feel less like a Fallout game. Like, I did kind of like the fact that they got rid of the skills, like, repair, lock picking, and all that stuff, because it was really annoying at certain points. Like, for instance, like, certain perks won't unlock unless you had, like, a skill at a certain point, and it's just like, now I gotta level up some more in order to get that perk to unlock for me to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in here, every time you level, you just get whatever perks you want, so it kind of like...
Well, as long as you had the appropriate attributes, which...
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like let's say if there's a perk at like that you can unlock at like the 6th level of strength, but you only have like 4. You just can't use that perk at all until you level up your attributes, which was the only reason you would ever level up your attributes, is They're just there for you to use some more advanced skills, if they are that good. Which
Right. Most attributes. I mean, some did have very specific importance, like charisma, for example. Very nice to have 10 on, just so that you can win over a lot of conversations.
that was a thing we're gonna have to go on
Yeah.
about. That,
Yeah,
with
that is
with
worth to talk about for sure, because
Okay,
the conversation systems change a lot.
In other words, it kind of sucks. But going back to the perks, did you use many of the perks in Fallout 4? Because for me, after a while, when I had started leveling up and got all the perks I wanted, I didn't really have any perks I wanted to get afterwards. Because here's what I got. I got all the modding perks except for the melee, because we, as we mentioned, melee kind of sucks in this game. And I got the Rifleman and the Nuclear Physicist, which makes your fusion cores last twice as long. And the Rifleman makes you double damage with any non-automatic weapon. And once I did that, I was just pretty much set. I didn't really have any other perks that I wanted to get because they weren't that impressive.
Yeah. This game does seem to have a lot of self-sufficiency. Like, it seemed like economy is a lot different from the other Fallout games, which is something we should touch on more a little bit later.
Oh, what do you mean by
But,
economy?
Well, just like with trading and bartering and, utilizing stuff that you find in the world versus purchasing it or trading it with somebody.
Oh, jeez,
yeah.
the money.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed the perk system, but at the same time, it can be easy to overindulge and not really get a true sense of identity in the game. Personally, I kind of was playing a leadership type role in the game, so obviously charisma was a big thing for me. Leveling up like a local leader was very important because you have to have that, obviously, to really get the full advantage of the settlements.
Yeah, you had to have local leader in order to make, like, say, the power armor stations, which it kind of pissed me off because I was like, okay, because this is before I realized that, you don't have a level cap, because I was like, I thought it would be like the previous games where your level cap would be like 30 or 50, something like that, right? So keep that mindset in mind. So I thought I was wasting a perk just to get something, just like one item from that perk, because I found most of the other perks kind of useless and not really needed at all, because like we said, the combat is really good, so you're just really self-sufficient on that. You almost don't really need perks at points in the game, I find.
Right, exactly. And another thing that was huge as far as the changes was the crafting and modding system,
which we'll get on to next, because that's next on the list of
changes. I think we should go ahead and move on to that. I think we've said enough about perks, personally. I mean,
okay,
what else can we really say about it?
Okay, but final thoughts. Interesting spin on it. I still kind of like the original one for it, because that's what made Fallout Fallout. But this one, it's good to at least try some new ideas out to see whether people are like them or not. But I definitely like the older one more than Fallout 4, because I made use of those perks a lot more than in 4.
I think personally, if they made a Fallout 5, they should consider a hybrid of things. Like, I think the cutting out of the number crunching was a very nice thing to do for them, just like
because it was kind of like a break, after going through all that, it's like, kind of a break to simplify things.
It allowed you to focus on the adventure and not have to worry about managing numbers. But on the other hand, it seemed like the game didn't really give you any kind of sense of character building.
It kind of lost its identity.
Yeah, it seemed like you can kind of frivolously pick perks out just to pick them out because they sound like, that sounds like something I want to have, and not really have like a sense of building a specific character.
Nope, it's just it's how you grow. It's how you grow your character, and then in the end, they're all going to be the same.
Some reason, Ubisoft.
They have some presentation of a game that they're working on and such, right?
Right, yeah, like an actual press conference where they feature off all the titles they're working on, and they had an actual press conference, and a lot of it featured Fallout 4, which had never been seen before. And, it's kind of crazy that they waited so long to reveal it, because a lot of game companies, it seems like they're so anxious to announce something as soon as they have a scratch
or
on
an
a
idea
piece of paper or something like that. some artist drew something on a piece of toilet paper, like, "Hey, we've got this new game coming out."
It's total shit. It was drawn with shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, anyways, yeah. So Fallout 4. I was actually got it off Green Man Gaming, thanks to Down Phoenix, for a reasonable price with the discounts going on. I wasn't actually intending to buy it. I just wanted to check out the discount feature, but I ended up getting it, and
Nice.
I don't regret it. It's hello everybody, welcome to Video Game Logs with your host Whisper100, and with me here is,
I'm Down Phoenix.
and we're just gonna talk and ramble on about Fallout 4 and what we thought of it. So
That's
Now-
a great start. That's a great introduction.
yeah, I know. It's kind of like a Big Bang, like with the nuclear fallout. But yeah. So I've beaten the game. Down Phoenix here hasn't. You've only played what, like 40 hours of it?
Yeah, I think I've got a little more than 2 days worth of playtime according to the game logs.
Yeah, I have 139 hours off the game, mainly from just not doing the main story, but exploring the whole Commonwealth. Because yeah, like Fallout 4 was just the big game too. So were you excited about the game when it was being announced?
No, I had no hype for this game whatsoever. I was like, what the hell is...
There's so much to do. Like, I wouldn't say this is my favorite Fallout game, but it definitely is on the list.
Right. It's really tough to say because it's still a real recent game in the grand scheme of things. It's only been out for, like, what, 3 months now? Something like that?
Yeah, pretty much near the end of the year. So the thing I wanted to do for this video game logs is do the usual, talk about what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, the changes and all the stuff, what we thought of it. So what did you think of Fallout 4 from what you've played, Down Phoenix?
Well, that's a very good question. Fallout 4 is a very polarizing game with me.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, I absolutely love certain aspects of it, but at the same time, it seems like they've taken away some stuff that really made the original game special.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But,
I was gonna bring that up at some point, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, and we'll get to that more in detail, obviously. But yeah, as far as Fallout 4, I still really enjoy it. I think it is definitely fits in line with the rest of the games in the series. I don't see any kind of dissonance between
Or it being
this
an
game versus
outcast.
the others. Like kind of like Fallout Brotherhood of Steel on PS2, for instance. That one we can kind of just slide off
Dismiss?
to the side, yeah. But this definitely belongs with the rest of them, for sure.
Yeah, it's well, for one thing, it's called Fallout 4. It better be alongside with the main series
Exactly.
in some aspect. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't put in that on like 139 hours for nothing, because I really enjoyed exploring the Fallout world every time we get introduced to it and doing all the random stuff it has in it. So I wrote down a couple of notes on the game, and whether they be good or bad, we'll talk about that in detail. So for the changes in Fallout 4, which is basically stuff that already existed in previous games, but they did something different.
It's Fallout 4. And where was the first 3? Just kidding. I was ecstatic for this game.
Everyone
And-
was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was kind of funny with the whole Bethesda announcement. When they announced this game at E3, everybody was like all surprised. It's like, well, obviously they were going to do a huge announcement like this if they were going to do an E3 press conference, because they've never done that before.
With Fallout?
Yeah, well, don't you remember whenever they had their E3 press conference last year?
Oh
It
yeah,
was in June.
I didn't see it, so I kind of missed out
Oh,
on
you
that.
didn't see it? Yeah, I didn't really see it myself either. I kind of missed out on it a little bit. But
Yeah,
they made a huge deal about it, obviously, because it was their first ever E3 press conference. I mean, they've been at E3, but obviously in the past.
Oh, but they haven't like shown anything off.
Well, I mean, they've been at E3, but they've never done an actual press conference, like how Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, EA,
Like they have some